going, folks? My name is Nick. This is Otto, my co-star, and this is the Chayote Permaculture vlog. I'm supposed to tell you today that my lady is awesome. She's amazing, Katie. I was talking to her right before I came out here and saying how I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to talk about today. I have plenty of things I can talk about, but there wasn't like a specific plan. So probably gonna talk about sun angles, because that's really important to know when you're trying to figure out your garden beds, and it's something I've been experimenting with and working on over the past few days. So I'm gonna show you what I've been doing there, and then just kind of show you the updates on my homestead here. So it's gonna be more homestead focused versus like topic focused today. So that's what we're gonna do, and I think we should just get started if Otto will let me leave here. We'll see. Let's go. Let's go. What are you doing? Come on, let's go. Good boy. Quick check of the rain gauge, 0.21. And that's gonna be the rain for yesterday, so I probably don't have to water, which is nice. Here's Otto. He's interested in the rainwater. He likes rainwater. As you can see right there, there's a little jar there, filled up with rainwater the past few days. And there's that's Otto's drinking water when he's out here. All right, so we're gonna check on the chickens. Just gonna give them some food real quick, and then hopefully move on from there real quickly. You'll notice behind me that I've kind of cleaned up this area for the first time in quite some time. That's basically what I've been doing the past few days, is doing a lot of cleaning around the homestead. Is the rooster ready to greet me? Hey, bud. All the other mamas seem to be down there. And surprise, surprise, guys, check it out. We have Henry inside the coop here. Henry's essentially incorporated at this point. He's part of the flock now. Huh, Henry? Huh? And we've also learned that Henry is a male. So Henry is a small little rooster, or he's been making the rooster calls. So I'm assuming that he's a rooster. I guess I could be wrong, but more than likely Henry's a rooster. So that means we're not going to really keep Henry. He'll likely be culled at some point, but if he continues to incorporate like he is now, you can see they're kind of actually like they're in the same pen. They're somewhat close to each other. Henry's still a little spooked by the older mamas who are the head honchos, but Henry does kind of take over the fight against the new ones, the twins. You see it. There's always lots of running around when Henry starts incorporating. The rooster wants to maintain his top spot, so he's definitely doing that. Here's my mama. She's getting a head start on the new food here. Oh, here comes the other one. Doesn't want to be left out of the party, apparently. Rooster's waiting patiently up here. And the other two, the twins and Henry, are as far away as possible. That's pretty common for them. These two don't like to hang out with me too much. I keep trying, but they were raised by mama, so they're not as cuddly as these two here, who are perfectly fine with being a little bit of pet and love. In fact, that one loves it. All right, so talking about sun angles. So sectors in permaculture essentially refer to the energy that enters your site. This can be many different things, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like an energy, like say you can have a view sector. Like for me, my view sector is the mountains over there. I always want to be able to see the mountains because that's just a beautiful view for me, and I just love to be able to look at the mountains while I'm back here working. So I don't want to be planting anything down there that's going to grow tall enough and bushy enough to block that view. So that's a really basic, simple idea of a sector. The two more common ones are wind and sun. Those are the two main kind of sectors that we often are thinking about in permaculture, because wind, often you have to make sure you're blocking the wind or lifting the wind or allowing the wind, if that's something you want, to your site. So when you're planting things or when you're placing elements of your design, you're thinking about, where do I want to put this to either work with the wind or work against the wind in that example. The one I've been thinking a lot about recently is the sun sector. Sun sectors are basically permanent. They're always going to be the exact same, but they do change throughout the year with the season. Even here in the tropics, it's a little bit different throughout the year. So The past few days, I've been really thinking about the sectors on my site and how I can make sure I'm maximizing the amount of sun I'm getting for especially my beds up here, these top beds. This bed here, the bed that's behind all these clothes right here, the one up here, all these beds up top. I've been really thinking about how I can maximize the sun that's getting to them. And so the first thing I did was basically just I took out, there's actually a couple apps. One app that I use is called Sunseeker. I think it's made for like iPhone devices, but there are many others. It's on the Android market too and everything. So I'm sure there's a app out there that you can use and find. But you can actually look through using the app. You can actually do like a 3D look. So using your camera, they'll actually show you the sun position, and you can see it throughout the year. So it's really useful for trying to figure out, okay, am I getting enough sun here? What do I need to do to change this? What's blocking my way, etc. So if you have seen this vlog a lot, you've known that this moringa tree has often been really bushy and kind of coming out. Well, the past few days I cut off, you can see there's a cut right there, there's a cut up at the top there again, and what that did is opened up this entire area for sun. And I think we're looking right into the sun right now, so apologies for that, guys, but it's giving you a really good example. So the sun's right here, and it's going to end up coming up, and it's going to go slightly behind these moringa branches up top. We'll have it through here, and then it ends up setting right down over there around now in the winter time. So right now it's like here, and then in like a month it's going to be like over here, and then during the summer it's going to go way over here. So that's just like the sun sectors. In the summer or the winter area where we are right now, it sets right along here. So when I'm looking at that, I'm looking like, okay, so I'm going to get sun to this bed coming through here. This is midday, so these tops of these moringa are actually going to give me a little bit of a break from that midday sun and heat, so I'm okay with those right there. But then the moringa that was over here, it was blocking out all this morning sun that was coming to the site. So I decided instead of trying to keep, just kind of leave that there and use that for harvest, I'm just going to prune those off on the side there of this moringa tree right here, because I know these will grow back. I'm not too worried about like ever having moringa again, because this moringa, if you haven't seen it already, it just keeps shooting up new shoots every time that we get some sort of prune happening. So I'm not too worried about that. But that two little cuts right there is giving me a few extra hours of sun exposure for these upper beds here, which means I'm going to have way more production, food production coming to the site, or potential food production, I should say. Down this bed here, you can see we have all the radishes are really starting to pop up now. I'm really excited to see that. The amaranth is taking a little bit of extra time, but it is starting to appear, I'm noticing. And I think we have some carrots starting to pop up too. I think that's a carrot right there, because there's supposed to be a row of carrots right along there. So we'll see if they end up coming up or not. I'm just going to remove this little guy right here, which is a thing I don't want in here. So that's kind of like a big major sun exposure, a big old tree branch blocking a lot of my sunlight. That's a pretty easy thing. Okay, cut that back. Okay, cool. But there's also kind of microclimate. So there's macroclimate, which is essentially the climate that you're living in, your sun exposure throughout the year, etc. The stuff that you can't really change much of. And then of course there's the microclimate. So that's like small little areas on your property where a specific climate is apparent because of the effects of what's going on around you. So let's just take, for instance, this papaya right here that's growing in this bed, this upper bed. You can see here I cut back a leaf here and a leaf here, because this leaf right here was coming out and basically shading out this whole part of the bed right down here. You can see my shadow down there. Hello, hey shadow. So if this papaya leaf were here, right where my hand is, this is about where it was, it's blocking out all that morning sun right to there where my hand is down there on the ground. So that's going to be blocking quite a bit of sun to this bed that I don't really want. And the one that was down here actually came all the way out to here. You can see my hand now. So that was blocking probably a good 2 or 3 hours worth of sun in the morning. So just by coming here and cutting just these two leaves here, I'm adding so much sun exposure to this bed that I didn't have before. So it's just this little small thinking everywhere you are, each bed that you have on your site, especially in the tropics. You can manage like that. So papayas like this, I kind of want these for that high shade. It's not necessarily as needed during the winter season, which I'm in right now. So that's why I can cut back a lot right now. And that's why I am cutting back a lot, because in the winter, I don't need as much shade. In the summertime, when it's really, really hot and the sun's pretty much straight up in the sky every day, I want this high shade around my plants, because in the summertime, the sun angle kind of comes up like this. It's way up there, and then it sinks and sets down over there somewhere. So in the middle of the day, when the sun's straight up here, I want this high shade to protect my bed in that middle of the day heat. But right now I don't need that so much, because the sun is much lower in the sky, because it's the winter time. It's only coming up to about here and then coming back down. So right now I need to maximize the sun, because otherwise I'm not going to have enough sun to actually grow anything. So that's why in the winter time, luckily for me, here in the winter, it's also kind of semi-wet. We don't really have a wet and dry season here where I am in Puerto Rico. It's more or less wet all the time with a couple of little dry spells. So I don't have to worry too much about wet season, dry season so much. Although I guess you could say that November is a pretty wet season for us here. Because we have had quite a bit of rain, and it's typically one of the wettest months. So yeah, this is kind of wet season. So in that wet season, I want more sun. I want to make sure that all my plants have enough sunlight and not too much darkness, so that some sort of bad fungi or anything can start growing. So that's the thought up here. You can tell I'm getting so much more sun, which is great for my plants, but for me, I'm starting to sweat already, and it's just in the morning. So it's not quite ideal for me, but the plants love it. So I'll allow it. So up here it's just about the same. I just took down some of the leaves that were coming out over these garden beds. Not all of them, just because I didn't want to take away all of the leaves of a couple of these that are smaller. But I took away a bunch of them, and I basically used that as a straight chop and drop mulch, because a lot of this garden bed has not been replanted yet. I haven't gotten to that, so I just put all this down just to help cover up the soil and keep it protected until I can get something in here. Up here I have the Arugula. It's starting to do really well now. It's cooled off a little bit, and it's getting a little bit more sun from all this work. Oh, check this guy out. Here's some of my favorite lizards here. They're really pretty. They're often found in grassy areas. These guys are cool. They're among my favorites. They're harder to catch than the regular kind, or the darker kind. And then this one just has some kale and some arugula, and they both have popped really well since we've had a lot of rain, a little bit cooler weather as well. Just as an FYI, I lived here as a kid, so I used to catch the lizards all the time as a kid. It was like a pastime, so that's how I know those lizards are harder to catch. I don't catch them as frequently anymore, because now I'm like, I should just let them do their thing and be themselves. But as a kid, it's really fun trying to catch those lizards and learn the techniques and everything. All right, so let's continue on with this sun sector thinking. So as you can see, this bed I cleaned up pretty massively. If you've been watching my vlogs recently, you've seen that a lot of my beds have been overgrown for quite some time. So I've finally gotten around to actually doing the cleaning part of it at least. And you can see I'm doing the exact same thing here. I am not ready to quite plant this bed yet. So what I'm doing is I'm basically chopping and I'm dropping all of this excess leaves and any other kind of mulch I have, just to protect the soil in the meantime. And then once I actually get this bed prepped and everything, it'll look more like, finished and professional. But this bed, the exact same thing was happening. This papaya was growing out and kept blocking all this sunlight. So I just took away some of these lower leaves. I don't need to take away all of them. I don't need to take away the upper leaves because of the sun angles. So here, the sun, let's just look again. The sun's like over here. Sun's kind of over here now. And what it does is comes up here, across the sky, and it comes down. So right now in the middle of the winter, my sun angle at the highest is right around, maybe it's a little bit further up, right around here-ish in this general area. And so from that area, if we look down this way, coming up, the sun's going to come right down this way. So the papaya here is not actually in the way of the sun coming down from this angle. So I can still keep that, and that's what's nice about the papaya. It's high shade. It still allows that sun to penetrate from the lower angles. It just helps block some of the sun when it's at that highest peak of the day angles. That's why I love papayas, and that's why you see them all throughout my garden beds. And one of you guys asked recently about how to tell the difference between a male and female papaya, and that's by the actual flowers. So I don't think I actually have any examples, good examples that I can absolutely confirm for you right now, but I'll do my best. Right here, this is what I would consider a female flower. I don't know if it's female yet, because you can see here, while this one looks a lot like a female, it's one single flower. It's right at the base of the stalk here, and it's much bigger. It's a very big flower. But you see here, this upper one, big flower, but then there's a small one coming off, right? There's a couple here. And I know that some of the females can have multiple flowers happening at the same time, but I don't see that too frequently. So that's what makes me start to second guess, is that actually a female, or am I just kind of getting excited? Here you can see this is a male, and the male flowers are starting to form, and you see how there's a whole bunch of them. There's so many flowers there, so many. Right, bud? So many flowers, so many. Thanks for coming out. He wants to come say hi to you guys. And here's another male flower stalk, and the lizard again. Hey, bud. Look at him with his tail trying to show off. But yeah, this is a male. So see all the flowers. There's so many flowers here, and that's typical of the males. And also the flower inside tends to be pretty simple versus the female, which is more kind of complex. So again, there's some males up there. This one here, it looks like it has the potential of being a female because it's a little bit of a bigger flower, and it looks like there's only one, but again, if you look over here, you can see multiple. So both of these, I believe, are males, and therefore at some point they might end up being removed from the garden. But for me, I don't mind a little bit of extra tree cover, and it's just going to keep on growing, and I can use those leaves for mulch. I like papaya leaves for mulch quite a bit. They make this, because they're so palmate like this, you can kind of wrap them around. Like if this is what you want to grow right here, you can kind of wrap the leaves around there and just kind of keep fitting them in. I really like the shape of papaya leaves for mulching personally. So I just let them grow until I'm absolutely sure that they are male and I don't want them anymore. And then I go, okay, thinking about sun exposure, what's going on with this tree? Is this papaya helping me, or is this papaya hurting me in terms of my sun exposure or my total garden, just like in everything? Is this going to help me, or is it going to hurt my garden? So here I had a big papaya here. There's actually a couple of papayas here. I cut down another one a while back. It's over there. But I just cut these down because right here, that papaya growing up to here and then starting to become bushy, that's directly going to block the sunlight that's going to come into this garden bed. So I took this papaya down and another papaya in there down so I could open up some light for this bed here. You can see that these Asian greens, beautiful Asian greens, this nice purple. I had a really long name. I think it was from Baker Creek seeds, if you guys are interested. These guys have been growing like crazy as long as it has enough sun. The second I took down some of those extra trees and got a little bit more sun in here, these guys started booming, and you can see it just is producing like crazy, and it makes this beautiful kind of dark purple when it starts to grow. Really pretty, really great little Asian green there. I really like that one. And up here you can see this is my parcha, my passion fruit, and it's growing here, which is right at the base of this avocado, which I am going to try to keep. But I don't want this vine to be blocking out the sun for this garden bed right here, because this is I want to be one of my productive garden beds. So what I'm doing here is allowing it to grow up this way, because this is on the kind of the northern side of these beds. So I'm okay if it grows up and into this tree, and then I can deal with it later. But then with this one, I have it going across at a low level, and then hopefully it'll end up going, my goal is to get it to go over the chicken coop. So it'll end up being some shade over the chicken coop and nice easy harvest of the parcha, of the passion fruit, once it gets over that chicken coop, and I can just walk in the chickens, and it's going to be giving shade to the chickens and also fruit for me, and probably some fruit for the chickens too. Whew! All this talk about sun, of course, on a really sunny day, it works out because I can show you guys, but it gets hot really quick. So you can see right here, if we're looking at the sun's right here. I'm going to kind of cover it with my finger and make it a little easier for us to see. Right now, this branch right here is covering up a lot of sun at this angle where we're at right now. So I could take out this big branch right here and I would end up getting more sun to the site. But with this angle that's coming at me, all that's really going to help is maybe a little bit of this bed, but it's mostly that is shading this area right here. So it'll help my greenhouse a little bit and help this grass a little bit. But I don't really mind too much if this has a little bit of part shade, because this whole thing gets plenty of sun anyway throughout the day. So I'm not extremely worried about that. But if I did want to add a little bit more sun to any of these gardens, I still have the option of taking down a little bit more of these trunks here, these branches up top. It's just going to help get a little bit more sun to the site, hopefully get a little bit more sun gain. And again, this is the sectors. This is an energy entering your property. Sun energy is pretty much every day, as long as it's not cloudy or there's some sort of big kind of volcanic storm that's blocking the sun, right? Other than that, you're going to have sun pretty much every single day. It's going to be a constant. Its path is trackable. You can always figure out where that track is. So planning your property and planning where you're placing things on your property based on that sun angle is going to really help you long term, because that's something that's going to be constant and that you can count on throughout the year. One more pause here. I just recently took down a frond right there. I'm pointing at it right now. It stuck out this way, and that's the exact same reason, because I sticks out this way. It's blocking sun coming in to my site here. So I took that down. Ends up being mulch, and ended up being mulch for down here during my heavy rain events a couple weeks back. So yeah, that's basically the general idea for the sun angles and everything. It's just thinking about your sun angles and wind angles and any other kind of energy sectors, anything that's entering your site on a regular basis, wind, sun, noise, smell, views, anything like that, that's considered a sector. And having a good understanding of your sectors on your site can really help you make smart design choices. And that's the key, is just knowing the constants that are around you that you have to work with all the time, and working within those constants instead of trying to work against them. Because if you're trying to work against them constantly, then it's just going to continuously be hard and harder and harder, and every year it's going to be more and more frustrating when what you want to get done isn't getting done, just because, you know, something's not in the right place, because it's not getting enough sun, or it's too much wind and you're not blocking that out, or whatever the reason is, right? Understanding those sectors really helps. And you can make a full sector map. That's something they teach in permaculture design courses. Just a note, there is Jeff Lawton's online permaculture design course. It is coming out. I believe they're going to be releasing that in the next few weeks. So take a look at that if you're interested in taking a course. I help with that course a little bit as a TA here and there. So hopefully I'll see you there if you are interested. So definitely something I recommend. It's a really high quality course. It's online. It's long term. There are scholarships available if you do need a scholarship. So think about that. Look into that if you're interested. Jeff Lawton online. They'll be hopefully announcing that really soon. That's what I've been hearing. So we'll see. And last but not least, down here, I just started cleaning up a couple of these kind of more ornamental trees down here. You can see this one used to be a huge bushy mess, and now it's just down to a couple little poles. And all that excess you can see here is just helping protect this area right next to this lower bed that I just worked on, because all this area is really trampled. I've been walking on it a lot recently, and I don't want the chickens to disturb it too much. So what I'm doing is just adding all this really bulky mulch here just to help keep them off when they come down, because this is where I let them out for their little pasture area, and they have a nice little dust bath underneath the house there. So they come out here on a regular basis, so I just want to make sure that I'm allowing them to be out here, but also protecting this area that's a little bit over compacted right now. After I finished this area, I actually did decompact this whole area. I used my garden fork and kind of aerated the soil, but I'm just trying to give it a little bit of a break. I don't want to hear too long, because it's going to cut off the sun, talking about sun exposure, right? It's going to cut off the sun too long, and then they're not actually have any grass growth or regrowth or anything like that. So this is just going to be for a couple days while I let the chickens out here, and then this is all going to end up being compost. You see there, I have a big pile of brush there. I have all these green material here. This is huge piles of green material from all the cleaning I've been doing. So I'm clearly getting ready to make a compost pile soon, because I have plenty of material at this point. Now I just need to get a little bit of manure from my horse friend next door and put it all together, and we'll end up having a new compost pile. So pretty exciting. And just one final little update on this last little garden bed. This is my most recent one that I put in here. Really excited to see that it's doing well so far. You can see there, I'm not sure if you can see it from here, I'll move in a little bit, but that's the chayote that I planted. That's kind of the main thing that I wanted to grow here, and it's growing, so that's a huge benefit. But also on this front row here, If you didn't see this video, I'll leave it linked above so you can check it out. I did a whole video walking through the beginning to the end of building this bed. But you can see this long line of small little green poking through, and that's a whole bunch of Asian green starting to come up. And that came up really quick, so I'm really excited to see that's all coming up. That's going to be a nice, easy to harvest right at the edge of the bed green for me. And there's a 25-day and a 50-day variety here, so I should be able to harvest in both 25 days and in 50 days in this whole area. Right here, that's the Chayote. That is a perennial vining fruit here, or vegetable here, perennial vining vegetable here in the tropics, and I'm really excited to get that going. It's grown so much since the other day. Let's see if I can get in. There we go. You get a little bit better view there. It makes like something between like a zucchini and a cucumber, but it's kind of in like a gourd-like shape. So it's kind of an interesting fruit. But yeah, very excited to see that that's growing. It should be a long-term plant for me here, and I'm still waiting to see the winged bean. That's the other perennial vine that I've been wanting to grow really badly. It is planted here. We'll see if it actually ends up taking. There should be about 10 of them in here, and we're just waiting for them to sprout. I'm hoping to see them in the next 2 or 3 days. That's when I'd expect them to start popping up. So still fingers crossed that they'll end up coming up, because you never know with seed packets. Hopefully you got a good one. So yeah, check out the video from the other day about this whole bed. I think I already left it linked above, but if not, I'll link it here. And this is a fun bed to get installed. And all the soil from this bed was produced by the chickens and the chicken system here on site. Thank you, chickens. Really appreciate your work. All right, I think that's it for me today. I think you guys had enough talking about sun sectors mainly here, but also just kind of sectors in general. Thinking about how the sun's entering your property and aligning your design decisions based on that. Since that sun's going to be a constant, it's pretty much always going to be there. Choosing to place your garden beds and choosing the decisions you're making on your property based on that will really help you in the long run, not have to fight against nature the whole time. So yeah, if you do like what I'm doing, please subscribe to the channel or share some of the videos. That really helps me get more reach. I'm almost at 300 subscribers right now. That's amazing. I'm so excited to kind of see that number keep rising and rising. Thank you all for sharing the videos and watching on a regular basis and liking the videos and all that. That all helps me, and I'm really, really appreciative of everything you guys are doing for that. So thank you so much. And until next time, have a good one.